We have Taoist Master San Qing here. How are you doing?
Good, Marcus. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm just excited to talk more about, keep our conversation going on the way and all the amazing stuff that you're going to be doing.
Absolutely. Focusing now, giving you the chance to have gone through the 126 experience, it leads us to a point where you can be more descriptive in sharing with us how you have experienced the way 126 and what your overview is.
Honestly, it was more intense than I could have imagined. And just based off of our conversations on what to expect, it was still beyond that. And, I've meditated. I've done all kinds of different types of therapy. And to go through something so seemingly simple, but realizing how complex it is, it was just so cool. I remember doing it and sitting there and just feeling like I was melting into the chair. And I could just see, I could see in the corner of my eye, but I kept feeling like, oh my gosh, like you just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper into this. And, there's meditation where you close your eyes and you visualize and whatever, but to have the visualization, have the animations, to have the layout, to have the way it guides you through it. And it seems so simple, but like I said, you just realize how deep it is. And at the end of it, you can't argue with how you feel. I mean, it was literally like, it was like taking a class in meditation. It was like meditating for like 2 hours and I was sitting there for a few minutes. So it was just so impressive to see it all kind of come together. And I'm excited to keep going forward with it.
Yeah. It's been something that has been a progressive build-up in layering the information and being able to translate it from these, ancient Taoist practices and creating a contemporary offering so that your ability as a user have developing skills over the period of time that it takes to move through the 126, which is over 9 weeks, you will acquire a skill and start the journey on mastering yourself, becoming the master, the creator, the keeper of your reality.
Got some chills on that one. And what I also love about it is knowing that nothing is out of place. Everything is in there by design. So it's not like, oh, we haphazardly use this color or we just happen to use this number or whatever it was. It was everything is in there for a reason. And like you said, it's designed to help you become the master of your universe. Know who you are, know where you're going.
Right. Understanding that, today, in this sort of like setting, the in-depth grasp that people have in the scientific community about this material, on the metaphysical subject, it's really quite something to work with material that gives an outcome that is way beyond just a temporary relief. You as a user are developing a skill, your own ability, your own translation of this material so that it adapts to your perspective, your perception of your reality. So you bridge the gap between the conscious and unconscious process.
And we talked about that last time where most people live in the conscious, not realizing how much power the subconscious has on them and that it's the vast majority of their thoughts without realizing it.
Right.
So the goal with this is to bridge that gap and to be able to tap into subconscious, or what is the point
The goal.
of that?
Well, the goal is by design, 126 experience is a 9-week experience that develops your ability to bridge the gap between conscious and unconscious process. So what does that mean in a nutshell? You are going to become more and more aware on a day-to-day basis about what you are doing, how you're doing, and when you're doing all the things that you do in your life. And it starts with the spark. The spark to change a human being's consciousness starts with a feeling. And how do you create that feeling? That feeling is evoked by an emotion and a thought. And how are these three put together to basically encapsulate a human being experience, an event, a place, a person, or a thing? This is the language that human beings interact with on a daily basis. If you were to sit here for a moment and just process your life, it is basically the sum of your life is little events that have three major formulas to that event: a thought, an emotion, and a feeling. And that is basically how you interact in your reality with a place, person, or thing, day in, day out.
So you've brought up in the past that every interaction, everything that happens to you, there's always three components to it: a thought, an emotion, and a feeling.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I think there's some possible confusion where emotion and a feeling, I thought those were the same things.
Absolutely separation. And this is really important for people to understand that human beings use specific pathways, the senses, to perceive your reality. You know, you are brought into this world with five senses. Primarily, the app works on the three main ones, although you do develop this sense of smell and taste outside of the 126 experience. The three major pathways of human beings learning is seeing, hearing, and feeling. Okay, so for you to truly develop your own skills of perception, as human beings do, they accumulate experiences, they accumulate information on a minute-to-minute, hour-by-hour, day-to-day basis. You are taking all this information in, and it's being stored in your unconscious. Okay, so when we talk about every event, every interaction that a human being has in their reality, it's the sum of a thought, an emotion, and a feeling. Now, you signaled to what's the separation between the emotion and feeling, because most people believe it's the same. Well, an emotion is what evokes your response, and then you receive the feeling from that emotional interaction. So you have a thought. The thought has an emotion, right? And the emotion then triggers the feeling, the kinesthetic experience. That's the electromagnetic charge that you have that is associated with every place, person, or thing that you interact with as a human. Everything. So, yeah, they may be lesser or greater depending upon your perception and what it scales in your whole database and how you perceive your reality. So when we say the word love, love is a very, very subjective. Yeah. Well, it's a very subjective word, and that word is determined by how you have perceived love through your experience, through your human being experience in your lifetime. Now you can start to equalize that experience and bring it closer to what would be the general definition of love, as opposed to, you know, someone might have the definition of love being razor blades and bunny rabbits. That is purely determined by their perception of their experience of their reality. And as you start to create coherence in the body by balancing out the heart and the brain, you become coherent. And then all of a sudden, these words are more in definition to the actual textbook definition, as opposed to how you've interpreted through your life experiences.
Okay, so then when going back to thought, because that's the initial trigger, don't we have thousands of thoughts a day?
Absolutely.
So is it a thought that you spend more time on? Is it a thought like every single thought evokes an emotion?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely. You can't have one without the other. And that's just part of the human being experience. And what you're doing through 126 is developing a skill where instead of it being 5,000 thoughts, 5,000 emotions, 5,000 feelings, you're honing your ability, your skill to equalize, to ground yourself. And through balancing the energy centers on an energetic level, on a metaphysical level, electromagnetic field that runs through your body that connects you with the earth and the universe. As we've referenced before, we're talking about what are the components of the way. Quantum physics, epigenetics, Nigong, Qigong. And so let's reference Nigong, meaning you're moving energy with your mind. Qigong, you're moving energy with your breath. And then we're referencing quantum physics, understanding the general entanglement of everything as a whole. Every place, person, or thing is all interconnected. We are individual human beings, but we're all interconnected within the quantum field. And then we have epigenetics, which in summary is basically you are the sum of your environment. Your thoughts create your reality. If you have a certain thought, you can switch on and off your gene expression. That is becoming more and more clear through science through the last 30 years. So coupling all these things together, you have all the elements of the way that through the visual and audible experience, you evoke a kinesthetic response, which makes it real for the user. Because it ain't real until you feel it, right?
yeah,
And so that's critical for you shifting your consciousness. And by sharing in the experience, you develop the skill. So every time you go back to it, it becomes more and more
ingrained,
tangible. You will realize that through your own intention, you have the ability to change the state you're in. And that's the most empowering component to this whole thing, is giving the user the ability to empower themselves.
being able to change your own state right there. That's literally a game changer, considering how many people, myself included, for so many years felt almost prisoner to their emotions, where it was like, okay, you feel this thing, so you assume you have to go forward with that feeling. You have
Right.
to,
Right.
So to be able to control that and dictate where you want to go and, put your
Right.
focus somewhere and
Right.
to be able to strengthen your focus. How is that different from meditating? How is
Right.
it different from doing breath work specific to
Right,
that?
right. So meditation in of itself, in definition, is being aware.
Yeah.
Right. Now, breath work, I mean, it's a hot topic right now, and it's literally, over the course of this app and its app development, we have literally thousands of different breath techniques through Taoism, included through the Nigong training, thousands of different techniques for moving energy with your mind. And then, of course, integrating the epigenetic and quantum physics aspect, you are becoming in tune with your environment. So meditation, in definition, is being aware. Now, that's fantastic, it's only as good as the duration of that meditation. You take a moment, you take a break from your reality, and you stop the noise. That's really what people use meditation for. Breath work, again, understanding the chemistry, the outcome, the hormonal response, the alchemical response that takes place in your body when you're using breath to move energy. Now, you will have a goal, and most people do. They want to get sleep. They want to find focus. They want to be relaxed. They achieve those goals, but they're temporary in their offering. The difference between, say, a meditation app and this is an experience for the user to develop a skill that you acquire as you continue to do it through the 9 weeks. Each week you open an energy center that connects you with the universe and the earth. And that will be tangible by your experience, because every time you're exposed to material, it becomes more instant in your response to how you are being affected by the material, and you're developing your skill and response time. Because if you understand anything about neurology, neuroscience, everything's instantaneous. If we start to measure things with the quantum, and we talk about time and space, because really this is a 3D reality, right? 3-dimensional reality. Now, if I want to change something here, I have to get up and I have to walk across the room to the other side of the room to turn the light off. And what do I do when I'm doing that within the quantum model? I am collapsing time and space as I move from this point here to the other side of the room. And so there's a certain period of time that it takes for me to collapse that space to get to the other side of the room. Now, when you are tapping into your connection with the quantum, we're being void of time and space. We're now in tune with the frequencies of the universe. I don't have to leave my seat to affect change. I could do it from here. So that's a whole nother ballgame, right? So when you are looking for indicators of your development, especially with this material, you will notice and acquire a skill from a week-to-week basis that makes it easier and easier for you to change the state that you're in, and at a much quicker pace. And ultimately, in the end, after 9 weeks, you'll have what they call a 126 chamber that we have within the app that you're able to enter into by clicking a button you enter into, and you will be able to change the state you're in within 126 seconds. So it's now compressed from 9 weeks of training. You develop a skill where you are evoking that change within yourself through the development of the app, and you're creating a language for you and for you only that makes it real, because it ain't real until you say it's real.
So when you say for you and you only, it's based off of how you go through the app itself?
Yeah,
because it's not
because it works with your unconscious.
Path.
No, there's not one path. And the most important thing is the truth is only what you believe. So your development, your outcome, your perception is the only thing that's important through this experience. And the fact that you acquire that skill and you develop that skill, and you can measure it by being able to do it. And that's the big difference is, you can put on a piece of music and then that evokes change, right? So how does sound really, how is that a component of this whole experience? Well, sound is a really big component, because if you're a human being, you have the same anatomy as every other human being. And that means that you're going to experience change from this app due to the audible experience. So how does that work? Well, there's a vagus nerve running through your whole body. And through that nerve, you can basically affect change throughout your whole body, connected to every single organ in your body. Every single cell is being affected by this vagus nerve. And you can split hairs on, some people dispute whether there's only one organ that's not accessible, which is the spleen, which is, half a dozen, 1/6 of the other. Because once you become energetically sensitive, you can feel everything, no matter what it is. And so through the sound, the vagus nerve creates this permeable experience that affects you on a cellular level. And so that's how the information is getting in and affecting this energy center,
Physically.
this energy center, this energy center, and evoking the kinesthetic response. Yeah.
So much to
Yeah.
unpack there.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that it hits you from a physical side just through the vagus nerve, and is that through the breath work? Is that through the visual side of it?
Well, that's
Through,
just through sound. That's not, not including when we integrate the ancient Taoist practices, Nigong and Qigong, and let's not forget the proprietary 11 herbs and spices, which will remain nameless. There are even greater, more intricate processes that are put in there that are thousands of years old. All I am doing is creating a contemporary offering of an ancient practice, and that's why it's so powerful, so evoking, so transformative. And the individual user, like I will do the Pepsi challenge with anyone. Experience it and tell me what you think. It will only do one thing. It will change the state you're in.
so for someone going into this with something specific, because I know a lot of people start meditation, they start doing these things because they have things going on in their lives. So ideally, someone goes through this without any expectations and just kind of sees what happens, or
Sure.
going in with certain goals.
Sure. I mean, this is designed for anyone and everyone. And so someone who has expectations, you're going to build on that. You could be a guru, you could be a Pilates instructor, you could be a bodybuilder, you could be an Olympic athlete, you could be the next Dalai Lama, you could be a martial artist, you could be John Smith, the janitor at McDonald's, you could be Mary Lou that works at Walmart, you could be a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. It does not matter. What matters is if you don't have that physiology, the human physiology, you could possibly not be subject to change.
So this is going to weed out all those aliens.
Yes. Yes, if there's, if there are aliens out
if
there.
anyone goes through it and is like, I don't feel any of this. We're like, well, you don't have a vagus nerve? We'll put the glasses on.
Right.
Chew some bubble gum.
Right. That's a good reference. What's most important is people have been looking for this material. There are a lot of offerings out there at the moment that are self-help, mental health, emotional health, physical health, meditating, mindfulness. All these things are really powerful. The difference between those and the way is giving you a formula for you to succeed at mastering yourself so that you become the master, the keeper, the creator of your reality.
The fact that it starts with a 9-week journey. I don't know anything that has anything like that. I know a lot that are just, come on, jump right in, start going for it. You'll see some change. You'll feel some change. And maybe they promise big things. But when you don't have that system, you don't have that program, that path, it makes it far more difficult to stay on target. You don't even know what you're doing. But to have the path, to have it all laid out for people, that's what got me so excited about this. And just having gone through it and continuing to go through it and seeing and feeling those changes and seeing that translate into my life and how it's affecting myself, my family, my business, that right there for me is the proof.
Yeah. And I mean, that's really critical, is the truth is only what you believe. And the most important thing is it doesn't become true until you say it is. And when it comes to a human being experience, we go back to those three elements, thought, an emotion, a feeling. It doesn't become real until you feel it. So what's critical is being put in a position where you're seeing, hearing, and then feeling. And that's the solidifying factor. That's the component that makes it real for the user. And that's translated in many different factors, many different ways. And through your experience, you become more and more developed in these skills over those 9 weeks, developing and opening those energy centers, that then, the second level is another 9 weeks, making it 18. Normally, when we talk in any sort of like, spiritual practice, metaphysical practice, we're talking about the energetic anatomy, which, comprises of different energy centers that connect us with this quantum field that has been, quantified over the last 80 years since the guy with the gray hair and the overgrown mustache, Albert Einstein. It's, been accepted, and we're understanding it at a much greater level now than we ever have before in human history. So using that interaction, starting with the 9 energy centers, the average user is going to be more than satisfied with what they've accomplished in themselves, developing their own skills over that 9-week period to change the state they're in. And it only becomes real when they're able to do it. Okay? And so that's critical in of itself. And the proof is in the pudding. Try it.
So being able to change your state. So let's say someone just feels completely out of control. They're like, I need something that's going to help me gain that. So they start going through that process. And like you said, by the end of the 9 weeks, they can go right into that 126 minutes and that
26 seconds.
26 seconds. Sorry.
Yeah.
An hour and a half. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Just to like turn on a switch. Anyway, so 126 seconds, they'll be able to do that. And then they get to the point where they can just create whatever feeling, emotion, thought,
right.
just off of that.
What people don't fundamentally understand is that emotions don't control you. You control your emotions. Yet, over the course of history, human beings have been led to believe that that's not something that is even an option. Well, the Taoist practices over thousands of years. The mastering of yourself is the sole goal of anyone who is walking the path, the journey of discovering who they really are. This level of consciousness is about mastering yourself. And the first and foremost, the most basic level as a Taoist master, a Taoist priest, a Buddhist priest, a Buddhist guru, a guru of gurus, a gurus, is first and foremost, we must master ourselves and understand that information is coming in and out all the time through this vehicle, and that without being able to determine what is or what isn't, it can be very overwhelming. And the more you're able to concentrate your focus, which is what meditation does, it gives you a bit of a chance to take a break and focus on something else other than what's in your mind. The way gives you the ability to master and concentrate your focus to change the state that you're in within 126 seconds. And that's the skill that you develop. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And when you said your emotions don't control you, I have a Latin mother that would say otherwise. But growing up, that was how I lived. It was like, you feel an emotion, you go for it. That's what you feel. That's the truth. And also what you said, where it's not real until you believe it, that's what I believed. My emotions were my truth. That's what I felt. That's what it is. Right. So I think right there, being able to help people pinpoint that moment when they feel that emotion and realize there's a fork in the road. You don't have to follow that emotion. You can decide to go in a different way. So being able to have that kind of control in their own lives, and then, as the verse, conquer others and you're strong, conquer yourself and you are all powerful. Right. I love that, because that's all that matters. Like you said, it's mastering yourself.
Right. And the biggest misconception is that, that's not possible. That's not for you. That's only for the ultra, guru, super evolved, walk the path for 60 lifetimes. And no, anyone has the ability to do this. You just have to be given the information and the tools to acquire that skill. And this is the time when sharing is so critical for the well-being of mankind. The more people that have this information, the more they're able to come together, and that sole cause, the cause of developing, evolving human beings for the greater good of humanity, is the most incredible gift that we could be given.
I mean, any time in my life things have ever gone wrong, it's when I've felt disempowered. And if you look around the world, it's where people feel like they don't have control. They don't have the ability to guide their lives. So like you said, it doesn't matter if you're the, CEO of a Fortune 500 company or the janitor, it doesn't matter. Being able to access that and you being able to change your life, giving you the responsibility, the power to do so. I mean, that right there, that's everything.
That is everything. Yeah, yeah. And so when people realize that, they have this internal, innate ability to do this, it just changes their state. It just empowers them. It gives them not just hope, but direction. Gives them an opportunity for change, the possibility to make the impossible possible is just a grand in of itself. And when you hand that to somebody, anything is possible. And realizing that when you synchronize yourself by energizing these energy centers, by synchronizing them, creating coherence, because incoherence comes straight from the emotional content. This is something that has been measured also through time. And that, even right now as we speak, we have the ability to measure someone's magnetic frequency from their heart that emits packets of information into their field and out into the quantum, that you can measure someone's thoughts and feelings now.
And you've talked about that before, the coherence. So creating coherence through your heart, through
your brain,
your thoughts, and through your gut. Can you go on that, touch on that a little bit more?
Sure. So human beings, over time, we've become more clear, discovering the quantum, going deeper into the metaphysical aspect and realizing that the heart transmits this magnetic frequency into the field that is around your body, the electromagnetic field that's around your body, which has been measured to be 10, 12, 15 feet. Well, from a Taoist perspective, it's infinite, and that would also qualify and quantify the whole distant healing concept, if people have ever heard of that. I can be sitting here and be working with someone on the other side of the world, and they will feel the energetic change and charge all the way on the other side of the world. That has to do with the quantum field. Now, when you're projecting this information from your heart into your field, you also take it the other way. You take it into your heart, goes up the parasympathetic nervous system into the brain. The brain then shoots it down into your gut. That's how you get the old expression, I led with my head, I worked 50% of the time. I feel with my heart, it works 20% of the time. I got a gut reaction, it's a 50-50. Well, when these energy centers are imbalanced, the information is going to be inaccurate. But when you synchronize these energy centers, you create coherence with the brain that's magnetic, the heart that's electric, you create that coherence, a grounding, all of a sudden your gut reaction is going to be dead on accurate. So that feeling that you get, does this make sense?
Okay, so when you get a gut feeling, that doesn't inherently mean that you had coherence with your thought and your heart. It could just be a gut feeling on.
Well,
anything.
It doesn't mean that it's accurate,
okay.
Because you're relying on the sum of your life experiences to give you this information, and so intuition, in of itself, gut feeling, will be accurate or inaccurate depending upon whether you're imbalanced or balanced. So balancing those energies are critical to the outcome of the user, and of course ultimately synchronizing themselves with the field. And so we're now not collapsing time and space. We're not attempting to change matter to wave. When it's third person, first person, then no person, when you are nobody, you're at one with the universe. And then all of a sudden, shifting these things that have been a time-space continuum become void, and things are instant. And then you witness miracles, you witness change, you witness manifestation. This is what people talk about. People have written books. There's been a famous book over the years that people keep reading and going over and over. And, have you read that one? And I'm pretty sure everyone that's listening to this will know the one we're talking about.
It's no secret.
That in concept, in concept, that's that is really powerful, but you have to be able to apply it. So that's where the Taoist practices come into it. We're giving you an actual practice to solidify this ability to change the state you're in, and you will feel it. You will know it yourself. You have developed these skills.
And your life is based off of what state you're in, and that's going to dictate what you do and what you accomplish, right? So if you can start at the root, which is your state, now anything is possible.
Right.
Because like you said, I mean, if someone feels like they can't control that and they don't know how to, change their state, then they're just going to kind of float around for years.
Of course.
So having that direction is what's going to allow them to take control of their life and do whatever so that's why it doesn't even matter what your goals are.
Right. That's what's most important for the learning curve of anybody, especially a human being, is to create that tangibility. You have to feel it. You see it, you hear it, you feel it, then it becomes real. Those three components are critical. They're the pathways of learning for a human being. And when you're able to grasp that, and by doing that, you'll notice every day you do the 126 experiences, you're moving through the energy centers week to week, you'll realize that you are far more grounded and in tune with your senses, which is critical to being able to evoke that change. So being exposed to the material, calibrating your energy centers, and then ultimately in the end being able to go into the 126 chamber and changing the state you're in within 126 seconds proves to you have this ability. And that's the only thing that counts, is you and what you believe and what you know to be true. And the truth is only what you believe.
And we've talked about manifestation before, and we hear it all the time. And it's like, from my understanding in the past, it was always, you think it. But you're saying you have to think it, you have to feel it. There's far more to it, and that there's no time. So when you start to put time frames on things, that changes it, right?
Sure. Again, every interaction a human being has is a thought, an emotion, and a feeling. So now, there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. It's the ability to collapse time and space and to connect with the quantum where time and space is void. Everything is instant. Now we're on a whole nother playing field. And you will notice that because things will become
it'll just happen.
Instantly accessible. The old parking ferry. Think about a parking space, and poof, it just turns up. That is a human being's ability to not be part of the equation. So we're going past the third person, first person to no person. You are just pure consciousness. And with that, you attune your thought into the quantum, which manifests your parking space.
So what do you say to someone who just says that's coincidence?
Do it 57 times and tell me it's a coincidence. Because that's what.
But if they don't truly feel that, let's say they just taking it to this very simple example of the parking ferry.
Right.
They're like, okay, they're going through a parking lot. I have great parking luck. I have great parking luck.
Yeah.
But they're not feeling it.
Yeah.
And they never get it.
Right. Well, they will if they allow themselves to just be. And so when they're struggling with it, I beg to differ in the sense that it's going to take them once, twice, three times a charm. And regardless of their own personality, because that's not the sum of their actual operation. Remember, conscious and unconscious process. So consciously, they're operating at 3 to 5%. Unconscious is 95%. And I've witnessed over all my decades doing this, many people that consciously are extremely negative, cynical, analytical people, but their unconscious is programmed for the infinite possibility of anything. And no matter how hard they attempt to sabotage their life, to the outside looking in, everyone would assume they're the happiest, most lucky people they've ever met. And this is going on over and over and over again. So the parking fairy is an interpretation of a let go principle.
So
Just
for the
allow.
person that's the opposite of that, maybe that 5% is very positive. How do they know if their 95% is just completely negative and wants to pull them down? I mean, I guess you could look at the sum of their life, but for that person that's just so unaware, how can they feed that positive from the conscious into the subconscious?
126. And, you have to start there. First, it's like, if you're unaware, you can only be unaware of what you're unaware of. You can only be aware of what you're aware of. So first and foremost, we start with the foundation, understanding the unconscious, the conscious process. And so you will synchronize with the universe and be in the right place at the right time to realize you need the way 126, and it will come together for you just in of itself. And so determining someone that doesn't understand or doesn't realize what part is 5%, what part is 95%, you start with their action in of itself. If they're being exposed to this material, there's a moment of change. They're here for a reason. They're here to alter the state they're in and change the course and trajectory of their life through that. That's what we call laws of attraction. So like attracts like, and that comes even on an unconscious level. So as much as you want to sabotage your reality, unconsciously you have greater things coming for you. Does this make sense?
Yeah. I'm just thinking about people who would initially just be like, it's like I said in the beginning, it's like, that's a coincidence, or oh, you can't control that, or there's nothing. When it comes to energy, it's all voodoo, it's all BS.
Right.
So, but like you've been talking about, I mean, it's been measured scientifically. You can see, you can
Right.
feel that energy.
Right.
So if you can feel that energy, that means you can control that energy. You can dictate where that energy goes.
Right. Absolutely. And that's part of the Qigong training and part of the Qigong training. It's just like having a formula for working out. Makes no difference. Only we're giving it to you on a, metaphysical level, a consciousness level, and an energetic level, that you are given the formula to affect change for yourself.
It's empowering.
Yeah.
It's exciting. I mean, the more we talk about this, the more excited I get. The more I go through this, the more I can't recommend it enough, because you will literally feel the result like immediately. It's not like one of those things where, okay, just give it 12 weeks and then maybe little scratch or a little itch will be scratched. It's like, no, immediately you start to feel that. And
that's the solidifying factor for any human being is, hey, I need to feel it. I want to feel it. Oh my goodness, I'm super relaxed. I feel like I've had 5 margaritas and a massage in the Bahamas for 5 days. That is tangible for any human being. And that's the critical baseline factor that you need to start with to affect change for yourself. When you can quantify it like that with a thought, an emotion, and a feeling, it's the building blocks of anything and everything that you want to create in your reality.
I think about for people who don't know what they want to create, kind of what I said before, it's like if they don't know the direction they're going in, this is the perfect place to start, because it will help kind of light up the next step as you go, and just give you that clarity. That's one thing you've always said to me is know who you are, know where you're going. Mm-hmm. For someone for so long didn't know who he was, didn't know where he was going, it's at first kind of jarring, like, oh, what do you mean know who you are, know where you're going? Like I'm figuring that out. But then just letting that kind of awareness in, all of a sudden it was like, okay, it's like your mind wants to answer questions. So for someone who doesn't know where they want to go, who doesn't know who they are, how will this help them?
Right. Well, the grounding and the high level of consciousness and focus that you obtain from this, because you master that focus by being able to change the state you're in. So you're going to, it's like a car wash. You go into 126 a certain way and you come out a completely different way. And so you're acquiring these skills. And so understanding that, knowing who you are and knowing where you're going, starts with what evokes within you a thought, an emotion, and a feeling. What are the thoughts, emotions, and feelings that you get with a level of certainty, a level of knowing of who you are and where you're going? That's a grounding, a calm, a coherence that you obtain. And that empowers you. Fear in of itself as an emotion is probably one of the highest levels of incoherence. And with that, you hear the old expression, don't ever, when you're emotional, don't make decisions. Where did that come from? Right? Don't make any life-changing decisions when you're emotional, because that's an incoherent state. And, who hasn't had an experience where, I got into a fight with my girlfriend or my wife, and I said a bunch of things I wish I hadn't of, and now I'm sorry. Prime example.
Yeah.
Thought, and emotion, and a feeling. And you have a choice. But the more and more heightened the incoherence, the more and more the probability you will make the wrong decision, because you're overwhelmed with those emotions, and those emotions are dictating your response, your reaction to a place, person, or thing.
You've always said, and I've always heard this before, where your energy goes, or where your attention goes, your energy flows.
Mm-hmm.
And you just said that this will help you build your focus.
Mm-hmm.
And in this day and age where there's so many distractions and there's so much pulling at you from different angles,
Right.
being able to hone your focus, that feels like a superpower.
Right. Yeah. No, it's critical, because that's when you can concentrate on the state that you're in and then altering that. And you will feel it instantaneously, shifting your consciousness to the next level. And that's a skill that you acquire. This skill doesn't leave you. It's not like, oh my goodness, I didn't work out for 3 weeks. I've got an extra 4 pounds and 3 inches on my waist. That's not how this works. This is an instantaneous change, and it solidifies in your conscious and unconscious process. You click a couple of notches on the consciousness dial, and it's yours forever. And you're empowering yourself.
So having gone through even just the first few days, it just continues to build.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't, like you said, just disappear, doesn't go away,
No.
doesn't, you don't gain the inches.
No.
And then as you go through it and you keep going through it, it just hones that skill,
Right.
hones that skill.
Refines it.
Refines it.
Yeah. It's very exciting. It's exciting to give people the tools they need. It's this time in human history where the information is accessible. Let's give it to the people so they have the ability to change the state they're in. And investing in humanity, in a greater good, a greater cause, in turning that hope into a knowing. And that's what happens when you empower yourself.
Yeah, because hope, there is some empowerment in hope, but that is fleeting. It's like motivation. It's like, yeah, you can be motivated, but if you don't act on it, then what happens?
Right.
But to be able to hone that skill of focus, to be able to really give people direction, I mean, that's what this is, right? It's giving them direction and it's giving them a path to be able to do that.
Right.
That's the thing that got me so excited about it from the second you've told me about this, that here's how it's all laid out. Here's how, it's all designed it's all by design.
Right.
So it's nothing's by chance.
No. And I mean, that's part of these ancient practices is every letter, every color, every number, every word, every image is put in the right place to evoke this change within you. And then you master those skills. you acquire them. You become the master, the creator, the keeper of your reality.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to unleash this on the world.
Excellent.
I know you are as well. So much time, so much effort has been put into this.
Yes, years and years of developing a contemporary offering of an ancient practice.
And based off your decades of going through these practices yourself and with clients and with others. And
yes.
it's not by chance.
It's not a coincidence.
There are no coincidences. Awesome. Well, this is very exciting. So anything else you'd like to share?
I'm just really excited for people to come together and realize this internal power that we all have individually and then collectively. And that when you unleash that, the level of consciousness, awareness that it brings to the world will do nothing but affect change for the positive. More love, more gratitude, more appreciation, more value for just the human being, and always remind them that mortality is real, that the most precious commodity that you have is time, and to step beyond that comes from within here.
Perfect.
I look forward to sharing this journey with you, my friend.
Likewise. Likewise. So this is Marcus Martinez. This is Taoist Master San Qing. As always, love your insights, love everything that you share. And like I said, I can't wait to continue on this path with you.
Absolutely, my friend.